Hey guys, it's Andy with Mindset Matters More, and you probably noticed that there's a little bit of a format change. So let's talk about that first before we get into the topic today, which is comparison. So I was doing podcasts Monday through Friday, and it would release every day at 8 a.m., but that schedule was just getting to be a little crazy. And I've got other projects in my life, but I do want to keep this going because I do love sharing and expressing with you guys the energy that I'm feeling. And so I want to talk about it still. And so I've moved over to movie format. And I've also moved over to sharing with you guys just once a week, every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Okay? So now that we have that out of the way, today's topic is comparison. And I'm not talking about comparing yourself to other people, although that is a part of it. It's a comparison that we do to ourselves. And yes, when we compare ourselves to ourselves, we often base it on the progress of other people or what we perceive to be the progress of other people. So, for instance, I just did this myself, and let me tell you guys, I was comparing myself to a version of myself that does not exist. This person who I think should exist because I've put in so much work. I've been doing personal development and self-help books for over a decade, and I feel like I should be this enlightened being. I should be like, nothing bothers me, water on a duck, like it just beads right off. And yet that's not the reality of it. I still get reactive, I still get angry, I still get frustrated, I still feel misunderstood, I still misunderstand. And one of the things that I was told and that I've been taught is about the comparison trap. What's the comparison trap? It's when we compare ourselves to a version of ourselves that we believe is like the gold standard, like where we should be, versus really looking and comparing ourselves to how far we've come along in the journey. So if I reframe the way that I'm comparing myself, and I look back into the past and see where I was when I started this journey, I will see that, yeah, I've come a long way. The person I was 10 years ago does not exist anymore. The person that I am today is just somebody who, I'm more go with the flow. Like, I'm not going to say that I'm like perfect at it, but I am somebody who I can set boundaries. I can uphold my boundaries. I don't react immediately verbally. I don't attack people just because I feel like it. Like, a lot of the crazy behaviors that I used to do are not ruining or ruling my life anymore. And so this person that I think I need to be, like this Zen master who can transform every single negative situation into a positive lesson, like, that's not me. But that's the person that I think I should be after doing all of this work. And the other thing that I've learned about when you're doing all of this work is not only that, you do progress, and sometimes you take leaps and bounds, and sometimes it's little baby steps, and sometimes you regress, and sometimes you go forward, and sometimes you stagnate. So it's not like this linear path that like, hey, I have this 10-year plan, and in 10 years, I'm going to be the enlightened, empowered one. Like, you can't fuck with me, right? That's not the person, that's not how personal development works. The way that personal development actually works is once you start digging in the dirt, you realize how many layers of dirt there actually are. You start to recognize that there's just so much more that I need to do. This is just scratching the surface. And then the other part of it is that, like, when you're doing the work and you're like, oh, I've done all of this work, I should be further along. And then you're like, okay, you know what? I've come so far. Then you're like, man, why am I beating up on myself? Why am I not giving myself grace? Like, that voice inside your head, that inner critic, dude, so insidious. They make it seem like you cannot win. You cannot win because you're not perfect. You cannot win because you make a mistake. You cannot win because you just cannot win. And so I was taught, and I was reminded of this last night, that inner critic is not you. That inner critic is the voice that we have used in order to keep us playing at the level that we're playing. And so if I can just reframe the way that I think about myself, the way that I compare myself to myself, rather than the comparison being to somebody who I think should exist, to seeing how far I've come along and realizing that, oops, that is a mistake that I made. All right, I just won't do that anymore. Then I can continue to heal and I can continue to move forward. The comparison game is there to keep you locked in and beating yourself up, talking negatively to yourself, making you feel bad, making you have bad energy, negative energy that we don't want in our life. So you have to really be careful in both directions, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like, oh, I've messed up, I need to beat up on myself more, and then you can get trapped in this circle, right? In this cyclical pattern of beating yourself up for what isn't and for what was done. The comparison game is made and designed to keep you always in a negative loop. And the only way to get out of that negative loop is to love it to death, is to say, you know what? I love that I have really high expectations for myself. I mean, they're not realistic, but I love that I know I can do more. I know I can be more. And the other thing is, I know that I put a lot of pressure on myself, and that's great. I don't want to be somebody who just sits back and just doesn't have any sort of drive. I want drive. Now, did I say it in a mean way to myself? Yes. Let me reframe it though. You know what, Andy? If I want to be further along, maybe there's more I could be doing. Maybe there's more that I need to dig in. Maybe I'm avoiding work that I could start to look at. And so those are the things to look out for when you're doing the comparison trap. Not only comparing yourself to the wrong version of yourself, but comparing yourself to the version of yourself who you were, seeing how far you've come along, but also understanding it's a process and loving it, loving the process. All right, guys, that's it for me with my first Mindset Matters More with Andy via video podcast now. Oh my God, what do you guys think? Should I go back to just voice? Do I have a voice for radio? Or wait, no, do I have a face for radio? Oh man, I messed that up. Anyways, I love you guys. Bye!